Paul Ryan, in his speech, prevaricated a number of times. He was misleading, to say the least. Now, what's really interesting about that is not the fact that he did it. Politicians often do it. Now, he did it on a grand scale. There was 4 to 5 significant and clear and specific lies. So he got busted on it, and a lot of the media has been calling him out on it. And that's what's interesting. In the old days, people would have called it 50-50, and I'm not sure they would have done as much fact-checking, and the mainstream media would have said, well, you know, the Republicans think this and the Democrats think that. But in this case, there were several different elements. First of all, the Obama campaign was all over it. And they sent email blasts and videos. They had an ad up the very next morning saying, here's Paul Ryan saying this, and they would show the clip, here's the reality. So that it made it a little indisputable. And then there were groups like us and MSNBC, et cetera, just saying, hey, wait a minute. That's just not true. And it's incumbent upon the rest of the media to point out that that's not true. And guess what happened? The rest of the media pointed it out. It's amazing. That's a huge change from back in the old days. In 2004, that would have never happened. So the pendulum has swung a little bit. And so what was perceived, certainly by the GOP, to be a very good speech on that night is now, in hindsight, being seen by it appears not just the mainstream media, but the general population as a speech mostly marked by his lies. And remember, most of the country didn't see the speech. Probably a hell of a lot more people have seen the analysis of the speech than the speech itself. This kind of thing used to hurt the Democrats big time. Because whether it was Gore or Kerry or whatever, they would win a debate and you would see the poll numbers, they won. And then the media would make up a lie that came out of the RNC. Oh, Gore side, Kerry did this, Kerry called it Lambert Field instead of Lambeau Field. Oh my God, that's it, he lost. And it would work against the Democrats. Nowadays, the fact that this has happened is a really interesting sign. In fact, Paul Ryan goes on the Today Show and Matt Lauer calls him out on it. Watch.
Would you concede that while many of the things you said were affected, some were not completely accurate?
No, not in the least, actually. What they're trying to suggest is that I said that Barack Obama was responsible for our plant shutdown in Janesville. That is not what I was saying. Read the speech. What I was saying is the president ought to be held to account for his broken promises. After our plant was shut down, he said that he would lead an effort to retool plants like the Janesville plant to get people back to work. It's still idle. People are still not working there. Lots of people I grew up with who lost their jobs there still don't have those jobs there. So my point was not to lay blame on the plant shutdown. This is yet another example of the president's broken promise.
So in that case there, what's really interesting is that if you actually break down what Paul Ryan said, it's not necessarily 100% lie. What I mean by that is, he says Obama came in here and said that we can get this plant going for the next 100 years if the government does the right thing. Now, Obama did say something like that, but he didn't say he would reopen the plant. He didn't say, hey, listen, I'm not going to have this plant shut down. In fact, the plant was shut down under Bush. Obama didn't have a choice over it. So if you read it word for word, it's not entirely unfactual what Paul Ryan said, but his intent was clearly to mislead and deceive. He pulled the old 9/11 trick where Bush and Cheney would say over and over again, you know, Iraq is in the same geographic region as the people who attacked us on 9/11. We cannot let the memory of 9/11 victims go unpunished, and etc. And then you see why we have to go to Iraq. Now, they didn't say Iraq did 9/11. They just kept mentioning him in the same sentence. And from time to time, they would actually say Iraq did 9/11. There's a couple of instances of that, right? So Paul Ryan thought he can be cute and do that kind of same misleading thing and say in the speech, hey, listen, Obama said he'd keep the plant open, and the plant is now closed. You see, he didn't say Obama closed the plant down. He just heavily implied it. Now, what's interesting, as I said before, is that the press is actually calling him out on that. That's a huge difference. They never called him out on the Iraq stuff when the Republicans did that kind of deception and led us into a war with that deception. That is why about 70% of the country thought that Saddam Hussein had personally attacked us on 9/11. The fact that they're actually calling out those misleading statements now is a great welcome surprise. But it's a terrific surprise, and I hope that they keep it up. And by the way, it's not just on Republicans. If Democrats do it too, they should absolutely be called out on it. So, good day in America.